this tutorial, we're going to talk about using the month and month name functions in Fundly CRM v2. And these functions are actually pretty cool and allow you to do a lot of great things. Now, I've got here an example of an enhanced report that I'm editing. This is a standard report. I can tell because my toolbar is up here at the top. If this was an express report, my toolbar would be down at the bottom. And I'm in Edit. This is the Layout tab. And I've got a pretty standard basic donation report here. And so I've got my category, my household ID, contact name, first gift date, donation amount, and donation date. Now this report is sorted by donation date. And if I run it, you're going to see that what this does is sort the report in chronological order. January 1st, 2015, January 2nd, 2015, January 3rd, 2015, and then all the 2016s and all the 2017s. So you'll see here, this crosses a couple years, but it starts in October as my earliest donation on this particular report, goes through all the October 2016, November 2016, then rolls into 2017. Now there might be times when you instead would prefer to sort a report by month. So you would rather have like all the January donations together, then all the February donations, then all the March donations, regardless of year. And to do that, we would use the month function. So I could go in here and I could sort this report by month or maybe I just want to display the month name on the report. I don't want to see the actual day. I don't care about the day and I don't care about the year. I just care about the month. So to do that, we're going to use a function called month. So we're going to start by just displaying the month on the report. So you're going to highlight the cell where you're going to want to insert the formula or function. You're then going to click on the formula editor button here, this little FX. It's going to open up the formula or function editor window. And the function we want is in the date category, so we're going to click the little drop down here, and we're going to come down and we're going to grab this. So we're going to click it, highlight it, and drag it and drop it down here. Now, whenever you use a function, the field name must be between the parentheses. This is like algebra, think way back, algebra, everything. You open a parenthesis, you got to close the parenthesis. So the syntax here is month, open parenthesis, donation, donation date, field name, close parenthesis. This is going to pull out the month portion of a date because by default a date is formatted month, day, year, right? XX/XX/XXXX, right? So like 02/15/1974. So now instead I'm pulling out just the month portion, and if I run this you're going to see that. Now the month portion of a date is a number, right? It's a 1, 02 on through 12. So this is just going to put a number here because it's just pulling out the month portion of a date, right? So that's sort of helpful, but not super helpful and not super easy to read. Instead, we may want to actually see the month name here. So what we can do is we can go back in and we can use a second formula applied to this that converts that number portion of a month to the name. So it'll convert 01 to January, 02 to February, etc. We're going to find that in the date category. I'm going to go down here, and here it is called month name. We're going to drag that down and put that in front of the month function. And again, we've got to make sure everything's enclosed in parentheses correctly. So we're going to get rid of that close parenthesis and move him to the end. And our syntax now becomes month name, open parenthesis, month, open parenthesis, field name, close parenthesis, because we got two open parentheses here. We got an orange one and a green one, and we got to close those little suckers. Now, you cannot use the month name function by itself without first this month function, because the only thing this function does is convert a number to a name. But you got to first pull the number out for this to convert it to a name. If you tried to just apply month name function to this field, it's going to be confused because this actually has 8 digits in it, right? It's XX/XX/XXXX. So this month name function would be like, I don't know what you want from me because there's 8 different digits in this this date. So what am I converting to the month? So you have to use month name in conjunction with month. You cannot use month name by itself. As I just showed you guys a second ago, you can use month function by itself, and I'm going to show you in a second why that's super helpful and good to know. So if we run our report again, what you're going to see here is now that last column, all of my month numbers have been converted to names. Now, this is kind of interesting, right? So what I've got here is I've got these sorted chronologically still by date. This is why October, then November, then January. Well, what if I wanted to do this according to like the calendar, right? I want chronological order of month, which means I want January 1st, right? I want to see January, then February, then March, then April. Well, once we know how to use this month and month name functions, we can do a lot of interesting things. We can, for instance, go to our sorts and tell it to sort by the month instead of in chronological order. So right now on my sorts, I've got it sorted by donation date, which is going to go in chronological order, by year, then month, then day. Instead, we're going to go in, click the little FX, and we're going to apply our month function, pull that month portion of the date out, and basically tell it ignore the year. And I just want you to sort my report by month that the donation was made. Now we may also say, okay, I want to sort it by month. I want all the Januarys together, and I want January 1st, and then I want all the Februarys together, and I want February 2nd. And then after that, within January, you may want it sorted chronologically, in which case you could then go in and add the donation date field again. So what this is going to do is sort first by month, then in chronological order within each month category. I'm going to click OK. And now when I run the report, January will be moved to the top because January comes first, and if I had any February, I'd go January, February, March, April, May, blah, blah, blah. I only have 3 months on my particular report, so I've got January, October, November, but you're going to see now January, October, November. Now we can also get a little bit pretty here. We could go in and we can add a group header to the report, and there is a separate tutorial on adding group headers, so if you're not familiar with how to do this, you can review that tutorial to get the step-by-step. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to select my month, my sort field, so I'm going to say I want to group on the month part of the date. I'm going to go in and I can add my donation date field, and I'm going to click FX. I'm going to add that month name formula again that we just did to display that in the group header instead of just displaying it on that end column there. So I'm going to grab month and make sure he's out there, put his parentheses in the right place, and then I'm going to get that month name, and I'm going to put my parentheses in the right place. Okay, everything looks kosher. So now I've got the same thing that's in this column. I could have, the shortcut is actually double click on this, highlight it, Control C to copy, and then I could have gone over here and, if I didn't have anything there, I could just go Control V now and paste it. That would have been the shortcut. I showed you guys the long way where you could go in, but if you've already got that formula somewhere on your report and you want it to appear somewhere else, for instance, in the detail section, but also in the header, you can do that. Just copy and paste. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to bold it, and I'm actually going to make it, let's make it blue so that when I run the report now, you're going to more easily see where my header is. But now you're going to see a header, so you'll see January, and then you'll see all the January dates down on the side. And there we go. So here's January. This also says January. I could go back and just put this as the regular date now if I wanted to instead, because I don't need it there. So I could, for instance, just hit delete, and I'm just going to drag donation date unformulated back over and run it. And there you go. So now I've got all my by month, and if there were multiple years, I just wanted to be clear, in this report there isn't, but if I had October 2016 and 2017 and 2018 donations in here, this would be in chronological order, so it would start with all the 2016s, then the 2017s, 2018s, but it would only have the October ones grouped together here, only the January, only November, etc. So that's one thing. So once we know how to use this month and this month name, we can sort our report by month instead of by year, then month, then day. We can add group headers to segment our report by month. And in particular, this is a particularly effective month name, is a particularly effective formula when you're writing crosstab reports. And I think I've got an example in here of donations by year. Should have. All right. We're going to go in and look at this one. So this is crosstabs. This is donations by year, and it's using a similar function. Instead of the month function, it's pulling out the year portion of the date, and so we're pulling out the year. And you're going to see that if we go in, I'm double clicking now on this crosstab to open up the crosstab editor, and you're going to see right here this function year for donation date. And that's going to put the year across the top. But I could use the same thing that we just did. Instead, I could do these by month, right? And using my month function. Now I just typed it in because I knew the syntax. I could have dragged it over here. But now my column header are going to be by month instead of by year. And I can click OK. And I can run this report. Now I could, in a crosstab, I could have column headers. So, and it's just pulling out as a number. I could use month name now to convert that. But this is particularly helpful, you know, if you're trying to do, like, if I did a filter on my donations and said, show me the 2017 donations, and then have it do it by month, this would be a really helpful report, you know, especially if you're doing like a cash flow tracking or trying to track donations against a goal, like a monthly revenue kind of thing. This would be really helpful to be able to look at it this way. And it doesn't have to be just donations. You can use the month name and the month function on any date field: event registration, cancellation dates, membership start date, membership end date, renewal date, invoice dates, any date field whatsoever. You can use the month function, the year function, and the month name function. And these become really helpful in resorting your report dates in ways that are other than ascending or descending based on the entire date, based on year, then month, then day. And it becomes important for the aesthetics of a report as well. So for instance, this is sort of easy to read. Somebody would be able to figure this out. I need to get year off of there as a label. But somebody would be able to figure this out. But again, it would be better if we converted these to the actual names to make it a little easier to read for whoever we might hand this report to. And there you go. So there's some quick little tips and tricks on how to use the month, month name, and year functions within Fundly CRM.